My name is Manuel Mendez. I work at the Mount Pleasant Library as a library associate.
My name is Jamila Okubo, and I am a mixed media artist, illustrator, and surface pattern designer from Washington, D.C.
My name is Roland Robach. I was born in Bronx, New York, and I was raised in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
My name is Roger Sanchez. I am from the Dominican Republic, and I work at the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture.
My name is Nelson Cruz, and I am a DC native. My families are from the Dominican Republic, and currently I work in communications in Northwest DC.
I met Manny, well, I call him Manny, or Manuel. I don't remember what year, but I think I was like 13, 14. And it was during the summer when I was working in the summer youth employment program, and I was working at Centronia, which was formerly known as Calvary, and he was like our mentor, counselor, teacher.
So I met Manny at the summer youth employment program at Centronia. I was about 13 years old, and I was sort of, wanting to have a productive summer and also have fun. And I sort of went to Centronia at the advice from one of our friends' mother. We were just bored over the summer, like, hey, let's check out this place in Centronia. And we met Manny instantly. He was very welcoming and said, hey, just apply for this program and you'll hear from us. So that's pretty much how I met him.
So when I graduated from Antioch, I wanted to come back to DC because DC gave me so much in terms of mentors, the community, and so I wanted to give what DC gave me. I wanted to give it to young people, and I worked at Centronia on 14th and Columbia, and there. Many of my young people, which you guys will interview, like Jamila, like Nelson, like Roger, those are young people that once I got at Antioch, they were my mentees from then to now.
A couple years ago, I became involved with Manuel, and he had an effort of addressing issues related to race, and I said, I want to work with this guy.
But I met Manny, I'd need to say when I was 11 or 12. And now I'm about to turn 25, so that can give you kind of a sense of how old I was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I actually met Manny as well in Centronia, and he was just a counselor there. We had a bunch of interactions. His family's from the Dominican Republic, so is mine. So it was always a very welcoming environment.
Working with Manny it kind of opened my mind to involving community, thinking about social justice, activism, because he always found a way to bridge the two, art with some sort of community involvement or activism.
I came out of Antioch knowing myself, right? So I got a degree in communications, but I also got another degree in Africana studies. And so when I went to Antioch, I was heavily focused on African-centered work, and so once I went to Nicaragua and I saw the mosquitoes in the Caribbean side, and I saw the you can call them Garifuna, which are black folks on the Caribbean side who speak English. They really inspired me to do work with African folks of the diaspora. So when I came out of Antioch, I came with that mindset of when I met my students, you either were black or you with indigenous. And so they have some of that too, right? Because that influence of like, you know, I'm black, I'm indigenous. I have never played with the duality of like, soy Latino, I'm Latino. Even though I run organizations where like, we call ourselves Afro-Latinos, I have always seen myself as a black person from the Caribbean.
He's always been like true to who he is in any space. So that's also been something that I think all of us have learned from him.
Yeah, and I want to say too that he was always available, whether like throughout college. I mean, I had the opportunity that I went to school here in Washington and he was here, so I could drop in at the DC Public Library. He was there to help me out with my papers, bounce off ideas. So I don't know how he did it, but he was there, man. So I kudos to him for being who he is and being, like Nelson said, just very authentic.
And I wanted to work with him primarily because I saw in him a commitment to advance the interests of Afro-Latinos. He was not into egomania. He was very transparent and very interested in creating awareness with respect to the plight of Afro-Latinos.
I'm the president of DC Afro-Latino Caucus, which is an organization that talks about the black diaspora in DC in particular, but also globally. But as president, I try to focus more on DC and the DC Afro-Latinos, the DC folks that have contributed, because Afro-Latinidad has become a little trendy, and so I wanted to focus on the history of Afro-Latinos in DC and their contributions, their efforts. A person like Roland Roback, a person like Casil La Luna, a person like Arturo Griffith, and so many others that have paved the way for me to do this work and to share it with my young people. So that's just one. We created, along with our elders, the committee for Friends of Casil La Luna committee to educate folks on who Casil La Luna is, this black woman who came in '62, and by '68, she's the liaison of Listen Inc., which was on Park Road. She creates Mula, which is a women's group, empowering group. She creates Fiesta DC, the Hispanic festival that goes from Calorama to 16th Street. She creates Vida Senior Center, which was called Ifula. She creates MOLA, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs. And so many things that she was involved or instrumental in creating, and not a lot of people know this black woman that walked today, that has inspired us. Yeah, she's 93 years old. She's 93 years old, and we had a celebration for her.
Kudos to him for being who he is and being, like Nelson said, just very authentic and free in his own skin. So I really attest to that.
Okay, so last couple questions. Tell us about what you're doing now. What's up? Talk to me.
I'm very happy that he's finally getting the acknowledgement that he needs.
That he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not needs, that he deserves.
Yeah.
Because he's not the type of person to do things and ask for things in return. And through his guidance, we've accomplished a lot of great things.
So it's like if it wasn't for like him bringing that class to Centronia, I don't know how I would have found my way to like the next path in my journey towards art. But that was really like the beginning, because Manny really, like I said, Manny really cared about like nurturing everyone's passions. Fast forward, after I graduated from Duke Ellington, I went to Parsons School of Design, and I majored in integrated design with the focus of fashion. And since graduating, I've illustrated children's books for different independent publishing companies. I've collaborated with Christian Dior on their like handbags. I've done, most recently I did a live art installation at the Hudson Yards, which is a large like new luxury mall in New York City. I've collaborated with an Australian brand on a clothing collection with my illustrations. And I just had my first solo show open last week at Mahari Sequoia Gallery. So it's like, it definitely paved the way. And I can say it's really important to like nurture the youth and like what they're passionate about, because they're our future.
Absolutely.
And Manny definitely did that.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Manny. You definitely deserve this award because you are an exemplary leader that a lot of people, I feel like, should definitely look up to when it comes to just youth advocating and just inspiring and motivating students and people in general.
So we applaud the efforts of CHEC to recognize Manuel Mendez because it sent a strategic message to the larger community. CHEC is saying we are transcending the routine of recognizing only white Latinos. We're recognizing him not just on his blackness, but we also recognizing his leadership, his commitment to create an awareness of Africa, of Central and South America, and that has a lot of value if we take into consideration that right now the President of the United States is attempting to devalue the importance of people of color. So we collectively need to embrace a new pride, a pride that is very inclusive and recognizes the myriad of elements that compose our African experience.
One thing I could say for the seniors, if you're graduating, for the seniors, for me, one of my mentors here taught me or told me, before you go to college, before you just head off to college, make sure you know who you are. And so that's what I want to say to the seniors. Know who you are. Know who you are, and know, what things you stand for and what things you don't stand for. Because a lot of things are happening around us, and we have to know when we have to raise our voice, when to back off, but most importantly, when to raise our voice. We can't be silent to things. I know sometimes as immigrants, as black folks, as Latino folks, we feel intimidated when we go to different spaces like college. But we must take a stand in something. And so if you don't know who you are, you might be silent when you need to be